Welcome back to another episode of Psychocinematic. Today we'll be covering Scream 6, directed by Tyler Gillet and Matt Bettinelli-Olpin. And as always, spoilers ahead. So this film opens up with a film studies professor being catfished by one of her students named Jason, who is acting as a ghost face, and his name is Jason, and I immediately thought, all right, that's got to be a tip of the hat to Jason Voorhees. And his last name is Carvey, sounds like carving, like with a knife. And then this is later confirmed when in his apartment he is watching Friday the 13th, and not just any Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. And in this one, we've got Ghostface taking New York. So I was wondering why this felt so familiar to me when Greg's body is cut into pieces and stuffed into the fridge, and IMDb cleared that up because it happened in a Friday the 13th movie when Jason puts his mom's head in a fridge. So loving all the Friday the 13th stuff. I absolutely love the bodega scene when Ghostface walks in, absolutely not giving a fuck about anyone who is in his way, just killing all these randoms, and then even going as far as to using the shotgun that the store owner used on him to kill the store owner. And I was like, why does that feel so familiar? Oh yeah, that's right, because he's finally embracing the fact that he is a Call of Duty operator skin. I was just surprised he didn't slide cancel. So after Sam tells Detective Bailey about the therapist and then the therapist ends up dying, the detective became my first suspect. And then after Quinn died, I was like, all right, I got them. It's gotta be these two. And what's crazy is I am horrible at guessing who actually did it in a movie like this, but I nailed it. What I didn't expect, though, was that there would be 3 killers. So if you saw me covering the last Scream movie, which was just called Scream, even though it's Scream 5, you would know that I talked about how their use of that Red Right Hand song was super great. There's that person leaving the bar, that song's going on, and right as he gets stabbed in the head, you hear Red Right Hand, and it was just perfect. They used this song twice in this movie, but with like no dramatic effect at all. And so I kind of was wondering why they even used it again to begin with. My theory that the detective and Quinn were ghost faces was quickly being proven correct after they started finding all of the previous Ghostface masks at these crime scenes. Like, yeah, weird. Who has access to evidence from a crime scene? And then also when Sam's license is found, weird, who has access to your license? Your roommate. So I was feeling pretty proud of myself. So I absolutely love the dynamic of New York City and a Scream movie, all the way from the bodega scene to the subway scene. But right there in the middle was the apartment scene when Sam's boyfriend sees Ghostface coming in. He's trying to get their attention. And he's got the ladder for them to, cross the apartment buildings. But I would have to say the person in this movie who got fucked over the most was by far Annika, getting stabbed, bleeding out, all the terror, and then, having to face the fear of heights. And then the very comical shaking from Ghostface with the ladder as she falls off and then smashes her skull. Good Lord. The things that drive me crazy about this movie are how police just let some rando cross the caution tape like they did with Ethan, or how the police allow Sam's boyfriend to basically lead the charge into an active crime scene, or when Jenna Ortega, Tara, I don't know what her character's name is now that I am not hearing it, when she stops Chad, who's in critical condition on a stretcher about to get loaded up into an ambulance, like what happened in the previous Scream movie. Like, they're in critical condition and you stop them just to say something stupid. And then the fact that there's always still a landline in these movies. I know they probably do all this to poke further fun at the typical slasher movie and stay true to their Scream nature, but I die a little bit inside every time they do it. When Ghostface is talking to Gail on the phone and then she either puts him on hold or hangs up and then clicks redial really quick, that was super creative. But apparently that happened in Scream 3. It's been a long time since I've seen Scream 3, but if they did that in Scream 3, I think it's really lame that they did it again now. Gail got saved by the bell, and that bell was Sam running in, completely blowing her cover just to scream an insult, no pun intended, at Ghostface, all just to miss every single shot as they run away. It's just like, God, that horror movie logic. When Ghostface mentions maybe he's wearing a bulletproof vest, I was like, all right, so gotta be affiliated with law enforcement. It's the detective. I know it. So during that subway scene, I wrote down that Ghostface's balance in the subway is remarkable. Everyone else has to hang on and they're, like shaking or leaning up on something, but Ghostface is just feet nailed to the ground with a godlike core that cannot be shaken, just watching. I also saw on IMDb's fun facts that apparently, and I missed this, someone was dressed up like Mojo Jojo in the subway, which is hilarious because Roger L. Jackson, who is the voice of Ghostface, also voiced over Mojo Jojo. During the final fight scene in the theater, we come to learn that the detective, Quinn, and Ethan are all Richie's family, which would explain why they have access to his phone. And then it also illuminates a little bit of foreshadowing that was set in the movie after we think Quinn is dead and the detective says something along the lines of, "I'll stop at nothing to stop or kill the person that killed my kid," which is quite literally what he's doing. A nice little tie back to Scream 2 is it starts with, and I believe ends with, a theater scene. And then this one also, goes back to a theater. Scream is really good at calling back to the previous films. So now for the joke moral of the story. If you are a victim of Ghostface, you have to go full mob boss and kill the killer's bloodline entirely, because this is not the first time that the family of the deceased killer steps up to fill their shoes. It's not the first time for a Scream movie, and it's not the first time for a slasher movie. And finally, I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. I think this movie was better than the last Scream movie. I really liked the addition of New York, but I will say, I don't think I jumped once in this film, and that was kind of a bummer. I still had a great time though. I will always show up for Scream. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Psycho Cinematic. If you liked it, please leave me a thumbs up, comment what you thought down below, and then also, if you're interested in a sweet hat like this, Psycho Cinematic, you can check that out in the link below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.